Hi everybody, welcome to Discussing Tabletop for November 24th, 2018. Forgiveness about us being missing a couple weeks here, a couple things came up, our schedules are hopefully, well, unfortunately we're going to miss next week because of PAX Unplugged, which we haven't had a chance to talk about as much because we missed the last couple of weeks, which we would have been prepping you guys for, but we went last year, so we will have a big report on everything we saw and did there once it's done. But regardless, though, this week we have a huge host of things on the docket for me and Joe to talk about. First off, Magic the Gathering Ultimate Masters. We want to talk about it a little bit. It will be at PAX Unplugged for us to check out. But also there are some problems with this set as it is that we want to talk about. D&D has a bunch of releases. First off, the Unearthed Arcana, which is about ships and sea. We want to talk about the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which came out, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and a small adventure, which was not advertised big, but the Lost Lab of Qualish, which I may have misspelled in the docket, but...
It's Kwalish.
Oh, I missed the L, but that's fine. But it's the guy who made the apparatus of Qualish, and so he's go to his Lost Lab. Pathfinder
also, if you're looking it up, you have to put Lost Laboratory. Otherwise, it just gives you a bunch of dog articles.
Yes. Pathfinder Martial Characters Handbook. It's martial arts book. Which, again, it's another one of those, why now?
Whatcha?
Shadowrun has Better Than Bad, their Robin Hood book. White Wolf has announced that they're doing some kind of interesting changes with Vampire 5th Edition because they went too far with some stuff. So they were pulling books, redoing them, things like that. Star Wars has Rise of the Separatist books that are out. And if we have some times, we're going to hit up Heroes of Terranoth, that's come out. Common's November releases. And finally, Pandemic Fall of Rome, which we did talk about, has been released. But that's, again, those will be if we have some time, those last three. Why don't we dive in, though, to Magic the Gathering Ultimate Masters. To start out with, Ultimate Masters is another yet in their Masters series, which they've done a lot of. I mean, the Masters series is in this weird place, I would call it, because it's a lot of reprints, but it's reprints that I don't always feel are
necessary?
Yeah. And it's expensive. Granted, it does oftentimes have reprints of stuff that are good and helpful, especially if you're someone like a legacy player. And it does make them cheaper, but they don't always end up being as cheap as you want. But that's neither here nor here. That's the basic complaints about the Master Series. We're not diving into that for today. What I want to talk about is two of the problems with the series. First off, they're charging more for it.
Of course.
They raised the price. That's a thing.
I haven't gotten to check that out. How much are they going for now?
I would have to compare it to see the actual differences between the last Master Series, because I think the last one was around oh god, I'd have to see the exact price for it, which can quickly find some information on it to see.
Okay, they're going now
$14.
Yeah, for a box is going for
$336 about for a booster box, and that's the MSRP.
Ouch.
But $14. Yeah.
I know you're getting some more rare cards and stuff that's harder to find, but
this feels
that's the price of a freaking dual deck.
Yeah. No, the fact is, this is definitely pushing the boundaries of what they could charge. I don't think... I've looked through a lot of the spoilers for it. It's not good enough that I would call $14 a good price. It's too much for what the Masters series is. Because Masters 25, the last one, I think the MSRP was $7.
Yeah, so they're doubling the price.
Yeah. Let me just... yeah.
It's just not worth it.
No. Even like the ultimate Iconic Masters, because I think like Masters 25 was a special one. Iconic Masters, which I think is the normal one, was $10, which was expensive. But there's
a little pricey, but still
that was like
manageable.
Yeah. When it's that like $7 to $10, depending on what's in the set, makes it feel like maybe it might be worth it because of some of the value of some of the cards. Like Demonic Tutor's in there, which is really, really good. You know, there are some very, very good stuff. But this is a big price change. $4 is a lot. So that is the first of the major problems with this one. The second is their Ultimate Masters box topper. Look up their box toppers.
I'm looking at that right now.
They are
cool.
Look at what they look like. They are awesome. They are foil. The thing about it is this. You are guaranteed a box topper for every Ultimate Masters box you buy. The problem lies in, if you look at all of the box toppers, there's some duds in there. Think about it. Like, the comparison I heard someone say was, if you were to buy, you and your friends each buy one of these boxes for, let's say, a some kind of like a booster tournament or something, like a draft tournament, you know?
Yeah, if I bought that and got like Ancient Tomb, I'd be rather upset.
Well, I got like Emrakul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I think there's
Carcass.
Caracas.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like it's okay. It's
but there's even like worse ones in there because there's a couple of them that are just like complete, like no one really would have asked for that kind of things. I can't remember the where.
I'm looking at all of them right now. Here, I'll put the.
I got them in the. I had the card image gallery. If you want to put the link though down.
But yeah, I'll put it in there so if anyone wants to click on it.
Oh,
yeah, I had the
Gurio's Vengeance. Return target legendary card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step, and you can split it into arcane.
Yeah.
It's kind of lame. It's kind of really lame.
Yeah, and you have things that, you know, on the other side of it, like Platinum Empyrean. 8/8, your life total can't change.
Yeah, those are very useful. Like, but then there's, like, even like Ancient Tomb and all those the land ones, most of them, like Ancient Tomb, actually I think is the worst one out of it, actually.
Yeah, because it gives you 2 colorless mana and deals you 2 damage.
Like things like Carcass is actually vaguely useful. I do like it as a land. I put it in my white deck because I have a Legends version of it because it's useful. Return a legendary creature.
But even with that, is that good enough compared to other cards
that you'd want for like one of these really cool box toppers? No.
When you're spending, you know, $300 and something
to get one of them.
Yeah, that would still be a disappointment to me. I mean, Ancient Tomb would be just like a kick in the balls.
Yeah, like some of the other ones, they're still fine. You know, like the other like lands that become creatures, they're not great, but I wouldn't feel cheapened like Ancient Tomb. Yeah.
Or even Urborg. You know, each land is a swamp in addition. That still can be really useful depending on your deck you're building.
Like the ones that become creatures, those lands, they're kind of stupid, but those are still, I don't know, they're not as stupid as Ancient Tomb. I still feel like the lands that become creatures weren't worthy of this also.
Yeah, I agree. They're not as, you know, they're not really as good if you got it compared to other things.
Because they're rares, not mythics. They're making rares into these just to increase the numbers they had.
Some of them are just downright gross.
They're calling all of them under the card image gallery mythics. But if you look at them, a bunch of them are rares. Mana Vault is not good. On its own, it's always been awful. There's a reason it doesn't see a lot of extra play. Yes, it's 1 mana. I get 3 mana. Great. but it has that, like, diminishing returns of it's expensive to untap unless you have a way of untapping it, and it does you damage. It's fine that it's reprinted here because, you know, I can see uses for it. I don't know why it became Mythic. Mana Vault was never good enough for it to become Mythic, and it's actually Mythic in the set. That's an entirely different complaint.
Some of them, you know, are awesome cards that, you definitely want, like Emrakul or Leovold, Emissary of Trest. He's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know, or Maelstrom Pulse.
Yeah. You destroy target an all premise with the same name. The thing, the Maelstrom Pulse, it's tricky because it's like, hey, that token, and all those, like, 100 tokens you've made that are copies of it, they're all gone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is like, that could be really useful. That could shut down a deck.
Yeah, it's good enough that it's destroy a non-land permanent, so it's for 3 mana destroy non-permanent, which is good in and of itself. But there's a lot of those, like, tokens or, you know, copies that make it very good.
Yeah.
There's other ones that are like Kitchen
Finks. I was just looking at that one. It's like, it's good, but I don't think it should be Mythic.
Yeah.
You know, it's 3 mana for a 3/2 that gives you 2 life, but it has Persist.
I don't think it's normally Mythic in the actual set. It's because all the box toppers are considered Mythic on their cards.
Right. Now, with that, though, I'm trying to think. With Persist, that means when it dies, it comes back, right?
Yes.
So, the thing is, you could kill it off every round to keep getting 2 life.
The Persist, it gets a negative -1, -1 counter. But then again, it's from a set that originally you could remove those, which I don't know if there's anything now. So there was combos of, like, I kill it, bring it back, kill it, bring it back kind of things. But no, I mean, it's an awful selection. A raise in price. These are like doom bells for this. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure that there will be people that will buy this. Will it be enough to justify what they've done? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm worried they're starting to get a little too greedy when it comes with these.
That's the thing is, I'm pretty sure someone somewhere said, hey, we could charge 14 for these. Some executive. I don't know where it was from. But they thought about it. And considered it. So, Ultimate Masters, I guess we'll have a chance to check it out at PAX Unplugged and see for ourselves. But I think it's like, you can see the card image gallery. It's not within my purview to purchase it. I wouldn't want to.
It's a mixed bag that's not worth the price.
Not at all.
Thanks, Magic.
Yeah, I don't... It's... I think it's, again, the problem of Magic doesn't claim they want a secondary... Claims they don't want a secondary market, but everything they do supports the secondary market.
Yeah.
And it's awful that way. Because, like, keeping the price up this high will not affect the prices of these things anyway. And it's better just to reduce a lot of these cards' price to more manageable... That's the word. Manageable levels. And this is doing nothing to it. We're having that high price. Like the box toppers, in and of themselves, I have no complaint about having them a mythic series of box toppers. If they want to do that,
that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's because it's prints. It's just alternate art prints of cards already in the set. It's only if you really want to get these like big premium things. It's like the like ultra mythics and stuff that they. Or I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the term form off the top of my head. We've talked about them before, like, you know, brain fart now. Like all the Planeswalker, like the yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna drink water, so it gives me a chance to think my brain.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're going for there, so I'm sorry.
The expeditions, like it was like the expeditions and everything that's been a version of those. I had no problem with them. I didn't aim to get them because I'm a collector. I'm not an insane collector.
Yeah, it gets to the point of, okay, what is reasonable?
Yeah, and there are people out there that are collectors that have more money than me that will buy things like these, but they might buy them individually. But that's the problem, is they're going to have such a high price because of this. And there's going to be ones that won't have a high price because they're awful. And there's going to be plenty of people that are going to feel so gypped when they get these boxes.
Well, the thing is, too, with the box toppers, they're going to have a high price because there's even more of a limitation on them, and that they made them all mythic. So even the crappy ones are still going to come for a decent chunk if you want to have it in your collection.
Well, it's like the expeditions. I think like the cheapest expedition ended up being around like 50, and it was for a shit of a card.
Right.
It's probably going to be just the same. It'll be like, if you want to get your kitchen fix, it'll be $50 for this version of it. Would you have bought a box for it? Hell no! But if you really want to collect it...
Right.
And that's again, secondary market.
Yeah.
So, Ultimate Masters, it's a problem that Magic is doing, and I don't know how it's going to go. But we needed to talk about it because when I heard about the box toppers and the price, it just was like, wow.
Yeah, you're going a little too extreme now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're going in Steve Jackson territory.
Yeah. No, I think the other problem was the problem which I heard of someone talking about, which I don't think we'll get into today, but it's Magic cards at a local game store have very little overhead. They're hard to sell because they just don't have a lot of profit to them. And these especially, they're going to be a lot more expensive, going to require a bigger commitment because they are more expensive, and they're going to have just as likely small overhead.
Right, so they're going to have a limited inventory because they're not going to want to pour all their money into that.
And what's even worse is, this is something I just noticed here. Wizards, with one of the articles I was looking at, Wizards has implied that there's going to be a limited supply, a small print run. Going to drive up those prices even more.
Yeah. So that means even the secondary market's going to be really high on them because it's going to be hard to get a hold of them. Yep.
Fortunately, they're only selling them through local game stores as boxes, though they are selling, I believe they call them three packs at Walmart. And the problem with the 3-packs at Walmart, which is another problem, is that it's technically cheaper than buying 3 packs at your local game store. Their 3-pack blister pack, because you can't get a booster box out of them, is $35. Right. You're saving $7.
Right. So, and the reason Walmart can do that is they have the money to.
But it's like also, it's a weird thing. It's a 3-pack sold specifically at Walmart that is cheaper than buying single packs, which you can only get at your local game store. But but it's also like the local game store, you'd want to go there to get a booster box, to get the pop things, which you might get gypped in. It's this all-around bad time.
Yeah, it's really bad marketing.
It's like, it's not only one bad decision, it's like 3 or 4 bad decisions compounded on top of each other.
Yeah, because, the thing is with the box toppers, if you're going to do that, make them all really amazing cards.
Yep.
Make them that, it's really it's like, ooh, I really want to buy a whole box because I'm going to get something amazing. When it's a Russian roulette of that, I could get something really amazing or something meh. Do you really want to fork out that much money?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I think the average consumer, who doesn't have money just to burn, isn't going to do that.
Oh my god! And I'm just realizing they made Ancient Tomb rare. Really? I would not. Unless I'm playing specifically a speed deck of some kind, Ancient Tomb is not on my agenda. Let's move on. We could complain about this for quite a time.
But we got a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about D&D. Let's hit up the unearthed arcana to start out with. So, Joe, you were reading up on the unearthed arcana. Why don't I let you
I gave it an overlook. The ship stats, always a good thing to have. And they give a decent, depth into them, for what they have here. Yeah. Weapons, hull, armor, everything. So that's always good to have. What I really like is they do a breakdown of the main crew that you need. Yeah. And what their what stats you should kind of go towards, what exactly they do. They have captain, first mate, bosun, quartermaster, surgeon, and cook that they go into. Yeah. And I'd say that is probably the people your actual characters are going to go towards. You're not going to be a deckhand.
No. Well, I mean, a first-level character might start out as a deckhand, but, right. An adventurer will get a job on a ship then, typically.
That's what I'm saying. So it's good that they broke those down a bit, gave, some interesting insight to them, the first mate is, he's mainly, supervision, encouragement, and discipline for the crew. So you want him to have a high charisma score and some intimidation and persuasion. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Bosun, he's the one is in charge of repair and maintenance efforts. So you want a high strength score because you're going to be moving stuff around and to repair stuff, as well as proficiency with carpenter tools and athletic skill. Makes sense. The other things I love is they go into mutiny, they go into stuff with shore leave,
things you can do at sea, a couple hazards and stuff too.
Yeah, and combat and downtime I think is nice too, as well as if you own the ship, an actual chart of because you're when you're doing it at sea game, you're going to skip over months, quote unquote. There's going to be travel time that nothing's really going on.
Yeah.
So they give you a chart of complications that could happen.
No, it's a lot of cool stuff, and they do have bunch of good selection of boats and an airship too, just in case you really want an airship. Because I mean, most role-playing D&D worlds have at least one thing for airships. I know Faerun has one area that you can find airships in, and I think Greyhawk has one too. They're very rare, but it's
as we did, we made our own.
Yeah, well, that's that was a lot of different weirdness in that game.
Yes,
I think
we got an air keel.
Yep. So it's a very cool set of things, and if you're doing a lot of ship adventures or boat-based adventures, I would definitely recommend checking this up. It expands upon most of what the DMG has, because the DMG I think has a little bit of information on travel by sea, but nowhere near this level.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say that's maybe missing a little would be maybe some prices for stuff for the ship.
Yeah, costs and stuff.
Because they go over different helms and sails and oars, but they don't go into okay, say you have a keel boat and you want to upgrade something on it. They don't really have those.
Yeah.
That's the only nitpicky thing I could say is it'd be nice to have a small section of, add-ons for your ship.
And I don't remember if in the DMG they mentioned the price for any of these ships. They might, but it's also could you could reassure us and put it back in here also? Because they talk about owning it, but if we don't know the price, how can we own it?
Yeah. It's okay, I want a warship. Well, I know the travel time, the capacity, cargo, crew capacity, cargo capacity, what it might be, it might come with standard as weaponry and stuff, but doesn't tell me how much any of that costs. It tells me that it has more ballistas. Well, what if I want to get a third ballista?
Could I install a third ballista? These are questions I would like to know. And the only reason the only reason I know what a mangonel is because I had to look up siege weapons in the DMG, and it's a type of catapult.
Ah.
Yes. They gave catapults oods with mangonels for the small one and trebuchets for the large one now. They don't call things just catapult anymore, which is, I guess, fine, but that's another.
Yeah, I mean, it adds a little more depth.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's funny that the warship comes with movement oars.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming it's like a Viking long ship where it could, or like a Greek ship where it could or sail or something.
Sail, yeah. That's what I figured too. It's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, yes, it has oars. Okay.
Yep. Anyway. All right. Yeah. So I don't think there's much else to say about the ships and sea unearthed arcana. It's awesome that way. You know, it's just
it has useful information if you're doing a sea game.
Yeah. So let's move on though. Let's talk about some of the 3 book releases or 3 releases by D&D. The Mega Dungeon Undermountain is out. The Dungeon of Mad Mage. So this is exactly what it sounds like, a mega dungeon. It's supposed to take your characters from level 5 to 20.
And 23 maps of the Undermountain.
Yes.
That are 8.5 by 11.
It includes the subterranean refugee of Skullport, all the treasures, secrets, everywhere that you go in Hallister's home from the Mad Mage, all the monsters, traps, everything you could discover. My God.
Yeah, this is epic.
Yes. I kind of want to do it.
Yeah, everything that comes. I mean, 18 secret cards, 9 Elder Rune cards, and a total of 26 maps that are all 8.5 by 11.
They certainly knew how to pack in a lot of stuff here. It is a massive book. And it's technically an adventure, is what to say it is, because that's what a mega dungeon is. It's an adventure. It's a dungeon that can be an entire campaign. It's like here.
And the price is ridiculously low.
$50? No, it's around. Well, I think it's around the same price.
Because I'm on the Dungeons & Dragons site and it says item details price $24.95.
That might be the PDF.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just says price, but yeah, maybe it's the PDF.
Wait. 2. Oh, you're on the maps and miscellany.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
You're right. That's all the maps and miscellaneous stuff.
That's like big maps that they have that you can get to go along with it. So it's like instead of just having like the maps that are in there, it's foldable. Contained within our durable folders are 16 cardstock sheets designed with any dry erase markers.
Yeah, I missed.
No, that's fine.
But that's actually cool. For $25, you get all that.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, as much as it's fun to have like the book with smaller maps, having much larger maps, or like
so so everyone can actually see it easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure the maps probably have stuff that maybe the DM maps don't have.
Yeah, well, I think it would be more that like these would be simpler maps that you could put out on for like people.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So that you can have your DM map in the book and be like, haha, you don't know it's really there. And there's a lot of good stuff that way. So, I mean, it does make it that I think the entire set of them... Oh, I probably could actually put this up as an image for people to see, and I probably should.
So that it would be $75 basically to get with the bonus stuff. But for something like this that is going to last you 15 levels, I think that's worth it.
No, I agree. There's some really good stuff here with price point.
Yeah, I think the extra $25 is worth it to get the, miscellaneous and maps.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. They make it worth it for you, and that's one of those things that you always hope. Yeah,
and a lot of the times it is a little more overpriced, but now I actually got on the book. I'm seeing it's $49.95. So it's for about $75. You can get everything, and to me, that's still worth it.
Yeah, because I mean, the adventure is the adventure, which the thing is like the adventure is normally like $50 for an adventure from D&D. So it's right around the right price.
Especially one that's this big, and it's one book. It's not, you have to buy a series of books or something to run this one.
No. So, this is what I was waiting for. I think we've sort of talked about it before, but I wanted to say, like, it's out now. Keep an eye, like, I would say check it out. Check it out. The last time I played, I even, like, got into a little bit of a mega dungeon, I did a little bit of the Emerald Spire mega dungeon in Pathfinder, and that only took you from level 1 to 13. And you have to consider, if you played this one with the previous adventure that was in Waterdeep, it's an entire campaign taking you from 1 to 20.
Yeah.
And those are hard to find, an epic campaign of that level. So it's awesome. So, Dungeons of the Mad Mage. It is available now as of this week. Check it out. Now, there are some other D&D releases. Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. This is another one I was kind of waiting for, and I'm kind of glad they got out with, because this is the culmination of them and their D&D stuff. This is the culmination of, like, we put out all, like, the plane shift things for Dungeons and Dragons so that you can do magic in Dungeons and Dragons. Right. This is the entire plane of Ravnica, and I actually kind of want to get it because I'm a big Magic the Gathering lore buff, and the amount of lore that's probably in here about Ravnica that we did not have up until now is probably going to be insane. Because it's like, this is diving into depths about the guilds and the world itself for a really actually interesting setting for playing D&D. A planet, which the entire planet is a city. The city stretches over the entire world. Granted, there are places of, like, nature, but that's because there's an entire clan or a guild which focuses on keeping some nature alive in it. There are, like, levels to the city, so it's like you can be on, like, the street level, or, like, above it in, like, the tall towers, or down below in, like, an undercity. There's all this, like, different, like, races, cultures, entire different districts which have things. There's a lot of interesting things you could have here for a Dungeons & Dragons game. This is the one out of all the Magic worlds that I felt probably was the best one to do for D&D. Definitely. Because it has the best variety and the best setting for it. I'm very happy. Like, I think this is one that I actually I probably will spend the money to buy the actual book rather than just the PDF. I definitely think I will.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a great setting. It's about time they merge more of their properties together a bit.
Yeah.
And give it some more depth.
And I think this was the opportunity, and I'm hoping it leads to more. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. I'm hoping it leads to more.
Yeah.
It's like they've developed other worlds other than, like, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk have always been developed, and not as much lately for any of the other ones like Dragonlance. A little bit of wow. Again, another brain blank out for today. Curse of Strahd. It's Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Got it. They've done a little Ravenloft. They've done the Eberron one now for a little bit of Eberron in 5th edition. I'm not against them basically creating another world in 5th edition in Dungeons & Dragons. And this is the merge point of Magic the Gathering and D&D, and it's a fine one. And the thing is, it does open up to the multiverse of Magic because they're connected. Planeswalkers, it's a thing. I'm interested if they would explain how that would work as a character, though, too. Like a Planeswalker character. That's something I don't know if they'll have in here that I'm curious about.
That might be something that they look into more once they have several books.
Yeah.
Where there's planes that they can move into then.
Yes. True. So, again, this is another one we talked about in the past a little bit. I probably should have changed this over in image, but we're not talking about it very long. I just wanted to, like, hit on the fact that it's out and tell you people out there, big fan of Magic, big fan of D&D, check this out. This is definitely one to check out. All right, and the last one from D&D I want to talk about, because we had a lot of topics from it, is the Lost Lab of Qualish. Qualish.
Qualish.
It's about the legendary inventor who crashed a planar ship and was studying like his own technology. It's for 5th to 10th levels. Now the thing about this one, it's an extra life adventure because I'm pretty sure from the sounds of it is this product, some of its money, sales of the PDF are donated to Extra Life.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things about this adventure that I'm actually like really happy to see something like this. It's a charity. It's $10 for an adventure from 5 to 10th level, which is not bad.
No. The only downside is it's very limited where you can purchase it.
Yes.
Only through their DMs Guild and the D&D Beyond app.
Which I'd probably get it through the DMs Guild because I think that's the place that they sell a bunch of stuff. Because that's where they sold like the Eberron and stuff too. So
right.
But it's not a major problem.
It's just sad that you can't get it, elsewhere.
Yeah. And I think it's not always a bad thing that they're not printing it out, especially if it's a charity book. I can see just being a PDF because that's...
Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm fine with it being a PDF. It's just... Mm-hmm. Even normally with the PDFs, you can get it from multiple places.
Yeah, it's limited that you can only get it one place. So, that's the thing, is if you want to support Extra Life, which supports like local hospital, like children's hospitals and stuff like that, and sick and injured kids, this is a good thing to do it for. Get a book, get an adventure, spend $10. Oh wait, you spent $10 and you gave it charity effectively, and you got something out of it, which is something that a lot of people, I guess. I mean, I'm bad with donating if I don't get something out of it, truthfully speaking. Just because I don't have the extra cash normally to give a lot of donations.
Well, with it also being a PDF, that makes it easy to, because then they're not paying for printing costs and everything else.
Yeah.
Makes it easy to be a charitable thing.
Mm-hmm. And apparently, there's a bunch of people that worked on it, which is great. That it's an interesting selection of stuff. So, Qualish is a character that I don't know a lot about, which is kind of interesting because I knew he had the apparatus, but beyond that...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting because I'm kind of curious from, again, a lore standpoint, because I'm always a big fan of lore and stuff, learning about Qualish as a character that I've always known about the apparatus of Qualish. Since 2nd edition, that's one of those weird things that's like a standard for Dungeons & Dragons, the apparatus of Qualish. Who the crap made this? Like... We end up learning about, like, Mordekainen and stuff, and his spells, and, like, a lot of the other wizards that have spells named after them. You learn a little bit about them over the years. This one, like, Bigby I knew a little bit about, because, and he's, like, a weird dude who does crap.
Yeah, but it's interesting, because he's not... It seems more of a technological thing than, magic, too. That's why, because he found a crashed planar ship.
Yeah. And
he was studying the technologies of it.
And he made the goddamn apparatus of Qualish, which is like magical mecha. It's a crab mecha. It's crab submersible mecha. So it's very interesting. But alright, so yeah, check it out. I definitely would recommend checking it out. And let's though, of course, move on. So, next one I want to talk about is, of course, another of Paizo's many decisions we've been complaining about lately. They continue to make these, and I'm unsure.
I just hope they're going to be easily convertible.
I agree. Theoretically, a lot of these are, but it's the back end of Pathfinder 1.0's life, and I feel like that would be the point in time I would put out a lot of the more rare stuff, and they're putting a lot of common stuff out. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's their companions, which are normally small books. They're normally paperback. So it's not like a major printing. I'll give them that. Okay, great. It is still a martial arts book that includes fighting styles and feats and stuff like that. That feels like it would connect up to stuff that we already have out very well and might have wanted earlier.
Yeah. It's like,
maybe
unless this can be easily converted, it seems a little bit of a waste.
But granted, maybe one of the people that were working at Paizo was like, hey, I got some great ideas for martial arts book, you know? And they're like, cool, run with it. It's still not...
Right.
I mean, then I can see it maybe, but it's like, we've talked about this for like a couple of weeks now, that there's a lot of stuff that they've been doing that should have done earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely something supplemental that, you know, could have been a lot sooner than when they're wrapping things up.
There's a lot of books that like I haven't had us talk about on the show because they were oddly specific in Pathfinder, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's an interesting book. We don't really need to talk about it. And I guess that's one of those things, is we haven't talked about them because we didn't need to. I think the only reason we're talking about something like this is because it should have been earlier. In replace of those things. Switch them around, the releases. I don't know. I mean, if you're looking for a martial arts, or you're a monk that specializes in martial arts in Pathfinder, this is cool. This is cool. I can't deny that this is an awesome thing to get, and I have not dabbled into Pathfinder martial arts as much as I think you had a character that really dabbled into it a lot more.
Yeah. Of course, it's been almost forever and a day since I've done anything in Pathfinder.
Truthfully speaking, same for me.
Yeah.
It's been D&D or other systems. I haven't had a chance to do anything Pathfinder in a while. I wouldn't mind doing some Pathfinder stuff, but it's just that I just haven't had a chance. You just haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
And
so, but I mean, it's a useful book. It's just,
oh yeah, if you're a style master or a monk of some type, cool. You know, fighters, monks, they would be great at this. They do talk about some things for kineticists and ninjas and using the unchained monks, and I'm sure like a fighter would work very well because fighters can take the feat chains. They got the feats for it, so there's a lot of options for characters here that are cool. So, all right, we still want to keep rolling on because we have a bunch of topics to talk about. So let's move on and talk about Shadowrun. They have a release. Better than bad. So, this is a new book by Catalyst Games for Shadowrun. It's an easy way of saying it is it's hooding, being a Robin Hood character.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to do in a Shadowrun game. I never thought about, doing that particularly, but I can see it as being an interesting thing to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, with how, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic, kind of world where...
It's post-apocalyptic where the apocalypse didn't necessarily destroy the world.
Right, but the corporations have everything.
Corporations own everything. World governments are weak. The place is, gone to crap because of, everything that happened with, technology and magic and, monsters returning, and it is...
Yeah, and I think it's actually an appropriate system to have something like this. You have a group of people who are trying to better the world for the people who have been squashed by these corporations.
It's trying to bring good into the world, which is kind of interesting. It's a departure from your average Shadowrun game, because the Shadowrun games always, I feel like, are a lot more that fine line between bad and good. oftentimes. They kind of float in between there. That, there's like levels that a Shadowrunner traditionally won't cross over, but you're a hired thief most of the time. That's the easiest way to say it. And should someone get killed along the way? Well, it's not your aim, but you got to do your job and you got to protect yourself. Sorry, mooks.
Yeah, but you're normally focused on just yourself.
Oh yeah, yourself and maybe to a degree the team you're working with.
Right. Where this is, you're actually trying to help maybe a community.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I like that. I like that would be an alternate way of doing it, and like for me, I've always talked about the problems with running Shadowrun. I don't know if I would run a Robin Hood type game in Shadowrun. I might, but it would be I'm unsure which path I would take to run it, because I feel like it's a campaign that does require less details than, let's say, a more in-depth campaign, because it's all about taking and giving to the lessers. But it could take a lot of different directions that could mean difficult work for setting up a game. So. Right.
Also, with a normal Shadowrun game, it could incorporate a lot more of the world. With this, you could focus in a certain area. You know what I mean? You could be up against just one corporation specifically in an area, and you're maybe doing hit and run tactics on it to get supplies for a neighborhood to better themselves.
Like a good example would be Aston Land. I'm probably saying it wrong. The country corporation that is in where Mexico was. Going against them. They pretty much own the country. They're like the only corporation in where Mexico was, pretty much. So going against them would make it. It's the big man against the others. Like in like a city like Seattle, you could do it, but it's a lot harder because there's a lot of corporations vying for control. And that's the thing is, like, in areas where there's multiple mega corporations vying for control, it becomes a lot less oppressed.
Right. But even with that, they maybe they see that one of the corporations is a little more
is doing worse things
or giving to the community, where maybe another corporation who is getting more of a stranglehold on the area and is a lot worse. So maybe you're actually not working for that other corporation that's being better, but you might be doing hit and run tactics on the other one to weaken it.
Yeah, you might see like that. Less that the corporation itself is good, and more that like they are willing to compromise in this area right now, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you might be trying to weaken other corporations, so this one has more of a power hold. Cool.
So, yeah, it's a cool book. It's a very interesting take that is talked about in Shadowrun, but I actually haven't played around with it. So. It's for use in 5th edition, or if you're using the simplified Shadowrun Anarchy rules, most of the material can be used with that. So, cool. Better Than Bad, out now for Shadowrun. So, but as we've been trying to, run through these pretty well, hey, let's talk about White Wolf's problems. Do you want to throw the link into
that you sent me?
Yeah, throw that into chat, because that will make it easier, because I can't access
I'll throw that one, and I will throw another one that I...
Cool. So, an easy description of what's going on here is that White Wolf did some bad stuff. They were putting out a Camarilla book and an Anarch book for 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade. And they removed both the print and PDF versions of the Camarilla book and stopped the Anarch book. Basically, they stopped the sales and printing of both of those, temporarily suspending them. Yeah. But, this is talking a little bit later. I think is like this. The second article talks about what they were planning to a degree, because that's back from July.
Yeah.
But everything kind of like, because they just put out them now, they saw what they did went too far.
Right. I just thought it was an interesting article.
Yeah, that links to what they were working on.
Yeah.
So, they stopped shipping, stopped printing. If you pre-ordered both of those books, they'll send you information on them. They're basically they restructured their entire model at White Wolf because of this. I'm not going to get into details. You can read the article about their restructuring. But an easy way to say that is that they never thought... They were not afraid to explore difficult or sensitive topics, but they had they always felt like they wanted to go about those by understanding those topics. And they went to a difficult and too far of a place, which it's going to be kind of hard. 5 book. Which was too much, is the easy way to say it. I'm trying to figure out what, because the thing is, like, they talk about it, but it's hard to take a lot of the problem. Camera book controversy. Controversy. Wow, I spelled controversy horribly wrong.
You spelling wrong?
Mm-hmm. It was basically offensive passages, is the best way to say it. Like, very offensive. And it's not like there's levels of offensive you can take. And I'm pretty sure it's just like it's yeah,
it went too in depth in certain
okay
areas.
The horrible things that happen in Chechnya as a backdrop for a major plot point. So it's basically insensitive to, like, and this is like when it's imprisonment, torture, and murder of people in Chechnya.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, going in certain directions. Like, they've backed away from other materials that are very, very sensitive and like very negative. They haven't addressed them because they don't want to go into things like, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, things like that. And that's, in a modern setting where that exists, I think they want to leave it to your storyteller if you want to bring in controversy like that to your own game, because then it's you and your players can figure out what is too much for you or what's not too much.
You can agree to what level you want to incorporate that.
While when you're printing it in the book, you're dropping it right there in front of everyone.
Right.
Which, yeah. So yes, it was the Camarilla and Anarcha bunch, dropped into this. And it wasn't, like, a lot, I would say. It wasn't, like, such a critical thing that, I both don't understand it, and I both, like, it's this weird gray area. It's like controversy is a weird gray area that I don't think we necessarily want to discuss too much as ourselves. Like, I don't know enough about the passages to make a ruling on it. Also, I'm not involved in any of the kind of things that happened to have a big opinion on it. So I will say this much. When you dive into things that are very controversial, things that are very terrible that are going on, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And they might have been able to do this in a way that wasn't as controversial that they had to change it, but what they said is they went too far.
Right.
And that's the thing, is sometimes you can go too far. There was a fine line that you probably could have dealt with Chechnya. And they don't ever try to, like, as they say, there's real evil in the world, and they don't want to excuse the perpetrators or cheapen suffering. And they kind of lost sight of a little bit about that when they were talking about that, and that was the thing. So that's why they're they're basically reorganizing their corporate structure because of this, which is, I think that's the one thing about this that I am a little flabbergasted about, because it's like, okay, controversy. You're switching, you're getting books back, you're changing the print, you're canceling the books, you're spending the extra money to remove it, so that you get PDFs and print books out again to people that are fixed up, that you've removed the problem. Great. That's a fine thing to do. That I think, like, the sales and printing, correcting everything, especially because these were books that were coming out relatively soon.
Right.
But the entire, like, restructure and apparently they're integrating directly into Paradox Interactive, which I wasn't sure. I didn't know that White Wolf was connected to Paradox Interactive at this point in time. That's a kind of question I have.
In the article, it does say they use lots of different companies to help come up with more new and interesting things for it.
Because they're saying that White Wolf will no longer be a separate entity.
Right.
Which makes me feel like they're going to pull a Wizards of the Coast and being basically going into Hasbro, except they're going into Paradox Interactive, which I know Paradox because Paradox makes one of my favorite video games, Stellaris. So that's a question about where I'm curious about what this means by joining with Paradox, because I think they're the big producer of Stellaris, which means, which I don't know if Paradox had like a tabletop division. Maybe they were connected with them to begin with. So I'm kind of curious as to, like, there's something going on here with corporate structure that we're not going to understand until they're actually done whatever restructuring they're doing and integrations that they're doing that was caused by this. And I don't know if this was this something they were planning and this was just like the final excuse or what.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. This is an odd thing. A bad thing happened, and odd things happened because of it. Both good things, corrections, happened, and odd things, corporate restructuring, occurred because of it.
Right.
I'm unsure. Anyway.
We will have to wait and see what comes of all this.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to have affected Onyx Path as of right now, but...
We also might get more insight at the convention.
That's true, because we can see what's going on and, we can see kind of what's going on, and maybe, maybe we'll have a chance to talk to someone from White Wolf.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about a Star Wars RPG book coming out that, well, it's a period book. That's a good way of saying it. A period book. They're putting out the Rise of the Separatist book. So it's, I would say it's probably like, the last of the prequel movies. It's the Clone Wars TV series age. Or it is the prequel movies in general, I guess,
Yeah.
So it's all the kind of material was in that time period coming out in Star Wars RPG form. So it would allow you to go, it probably encourages more like, hey, Jedi gameplay, or, Republic gameplay, kind of things like that. And it's supposed to work with all three of the things, the Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force Destiny. Though I'm curious as to, like Force and Destiny, that's your Jedi book for the Star Wars, like the three Star Wars things. The Edge of the Empire is your smugglers, Han Solo kind of edge of, civilization. But Age of Rebellion is you're playing rebels. How the heck does that come about? Would that be like you're in the Republic army? Because you're not a rebel then. You're fighting against the droids. I'm curious how that's going to work there in that one.
You could be an infiltrator.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. That's to say the least. And it provides a lot of cool information. It's got a bunch of interesting races that they're including too, as always, like being like a clone, or some of the other that's the always thing about Star Wars books is always it's interesting that they are very good at adding in a large amount of their races that they have to play, expanding it so that you could play pretty much anything.
Right. You know, I think I'm a clone now.
Do 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 do. Damn it! You got me started.
Did I catch you monologuing?
You caught me. No, not this time at least. So of course, the book is officially out now. You can check it out and get it for yourself. Was there anything else I was going to say about this entire book? That's a good question. Breen, please tell me. No. No, it won't. Yeah. I think I just wanted to hit on Star Wars being out. Rise of the Separatists. Okay. I think we may have mentioned it previously, I think. Possibly.
Maybe.
But it's officially out now. And it's a good hit on it. Okay. Let's talk about the first of the non-board gamey things that we have to talk about. Because I think what we'll do is we're getting towards the end of it. We're probably not going to do the Kickstarter Korner because there's too many. Unless you have a Kickstarter in particular.
No, I figured with doing some pack stuff at the end, we probably
we're gonna hit up on talk about. So let's hit on Heroes of Terranoth, and then we can skip Come On Games' releases because you'd kind of have to hit on a bunch of those. But let's hit on Heroes of Terranoth and then talk about our pack things. So Heroes of Terranoth is a game that Fantasy Flight's been working on, the same people that did Star Wars, and they've officially released the board game now. So it's all about being the saviors of the world. It's a cooperative card game of questing and adventuring from 1 to 4 players, where you combine your strength to be Terranoth's greatest heroes and go into deadly, treacherous dungeons, confront deadly enemies, battle dangerous monsters, get riches, and risk and reward. Cool. Yes. You're basically being a champion. Okay. I think that dives into the basic depths of Heroes of Terranoth.
Yeah.
It's an interesting... It's these types of board games board/card games are always very interesting. I always take a liking to the entire hero character ones. I do like the D&D ones a lot. We've done Heroes of Aneroth or whatever is it?
Andor.
Heroes of Andor, which you have. It's a very good one. This one does seem to be, again, another kind of campaign-based one, where you're trying to restore peace and stuff. I don't know if you necessarily need to play it as a campaign kind of thing. They do start to say, your story starts with the Goblin Problem, which is an adventure.
Yeah, and I will also say cards look awesome. Artwork is really well done.
Yeah. It's... Granted, it's another in those lines, but it's $40 for this. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be more card-centric, I'm going to guess. Probably.
Yeah. But with it being a card game, there's probably more replayability, too. That's true.
And they probably have a list of adventures to do. It's you can do an adventure, and because it is more of a card game, you could do the adventure again. And, random chance can favor different things. It's we've done the Heroes game a couple of times for certain adventures, and the couple of times it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
It's you sort of remember the adventure, but things ended up differently anyway.
Yeah, because there's still some random chance, which, as long as there's some randomness to it, that ups the replayability factor.
Yeah.
That's the only downside to games like, oh my god, my brain just died, the time-traveling one.
Time Stories.
Time Stories.
Yeah.
It is the same adventure each time. There's not a lot
of randomization.
Randomization to be able to change that up. So, you can't really play through the same adventure more than once.
Yeah, they're fun, but you really can't do that, unfortunately. It just doesn't work very well. I mean, I'm sure, right now, if I would talk about it, I played through the Asylum one twice, so I'm familiar enough with the Asylum one that I don't think I could not do time stories again. I would know too much. But
Right.
like the zombie one, maybe because I only played through it once. Like the other ones, like, but then there's ones that are more fresh because we did them sooner, and that's the thing is like, I might just suddenly remember something.
Right.
You never know.
Oh yeah, we need to go here. I remember.
Yeah, he's like all of a sudden,
Yeah, that
oh,
was an
we don't
important
need
thing.
to go here. Yeah, kind of things like that. You just suddenly remember it.
Right.
And that's the problem with the game replayability. It's like, maybe you do remember it, maybe you don't. But this one, at least, seems like because it is more card game based, you will have that replayability, which is good.
Yeah.
So, cool. Heroes of Terrananoth is gonna be is out now. If you want to check it out, it's another cool. It's an interesting setting too.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. I definitely would try this out.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on, though, to talk about PAX Unplugged. So, yes, we're going to PAX Unplugged next weekend. I'll be going all 3 days. Joe will be going with me at very least Saturday. I've picked up a couple of people that have been friends of the show and the channel that will be helping me out along the way. Blaze, who I've done some survival game stuff for some of my video gaming things, is going to be with me there because he's also been on here on Discussing Tabletop once. James is going to be there. He's been a few times. So we will go over with these folks a couple of different things about the various stuff that's going on.
And I do want to say thank you for everyone who watches Matt's channel. Because of views and everything, we were able to get press passes. So we should be able to get some more in-depth behind the scenes with some of the vendors and stuff.
Comparison to last year.
Yeah. So thank you everyone. Continue watching. That's going to allow us to do things like this.
Yeah. So we got the press passes. We're in business, so to say. Anyway, so we'll be checking it out, stopping by, I'm going to be arranging a bunch of meetings with some people so that we can like have specific meetings. Probably stopping by a lot of places, seeing what they can say for one-on-one meetings if it's a place that I haven't gotten a press thing for, like I haven't arranged a meeting for, things like that. Checking a lot of games out. I'm going to try to make a little better notes than I did last year. So I'm going to try to have some kind of like notebook with me or something. And I'm arranging to have some like very simple business cards. Nothing fancy. Just something.
I was going to ask that.
I talked to my father, so he's going to see what he can put together for me in a couple of days.
Okay.
Since he does printing
you don't need
for
anything,
a living.
Yeah. You don't need anything, extravagant. Just basic information, and so you can hand them the card and they can put it somewhere safe. And
yeah. I am a big channel, so I can't spend a lot. I can go to someone who in the family does printing actually for a living and do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely be throwing things out on my Discord and Twitter about what's going on and the kind of things I'm seeing. I'm going to try to keep up to date with that. So if you want to keep like a live connection to that, I'll try to upload some pictures throughout the day, things like that. That will keep you guys informed of a lot of things over the period of time. Just because I want to do that. We'll both be doing that, and as I said, both of us will be there on Saturday. I'm definitely going to be there on Friday, but Joe and Blaze both work, so they can't join me. Joe probably can't join on Sunday, but Blaze will be joining me on Sunday. So if you want to see us, or if you see me or anything, say hi.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yep. I'll probably mention this a couple of times before the end of the week. Anyway. That's going to be PAX Unplugged. I don't know if there's any other major information about PAX Unplugged we want to talk about.
No, there's still tickets available. I just looked on their site now. 3-day passes are very low. Saturday is very low.
Yeah.
Friday and Sunday it looks like, and kids passes it looks like they're all still relatively available.
Yep.
So get your passes if you haven't done it.
Yep. Get your passes. All right. So, I guess this has been a very information-heavy day, and we could theoretically do like a Kickstarter, but I don't want to. I want to just. We had 3 weeks. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think when we get back from PAX, we maybe try to return to a regular schedule at that point in time. So why don't we Oh God, our weekend gaming. It's like just too much. It's what, 3 weeks or 2 weeks now?
Yeah, but unfortunately, between us, we haven't done so much. We've had a couple weeks that the last few weeks have just kind of haven't gelled. So
we've had Sundays at the Tabletop, which if you guys have missed that, it was I can look that up because I have those files on my computer.
Last Sunday we did not stream, but we did play Munchkin.
That is right.
Marvel.
It was just us, so we didn't stream Sundays at the Tabletop. We missed last weekend, but the weekend before that, we did have Sushi Go.
Yes.
Yes, but we tried Munchkin Marvel. It was fun, but weird.
We think you need more than 2 people, really, for that one.
It really feels like we need more than 2 people for it to really work. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Some of the other Munchkins... Munchkin always feels like you need more than 2 people, but the other ones at least feel a little better with 2 people than this one did. So that's what we have to report about it. I had an episode of Maz's Land did come back in the interim. Unfortunately, Joe's was unable to join this season, but we switched to a 4-hour slightly later. It's gone okay so far. The most memorable thing is when the Goblin character decided to light himself on fire after he stripped naked.
Okay, then.
Technically, you were supposed to strip naked and light himself on fire, but he did it accidentally, which is why it's comical.
Okay, then. Naked flaming goblins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting set of characters now, and it's interesting going. And poor Knocker being the legacy character is just not good on the poor man. But we didn't play this week for various obvious reasons, including like Thanksgiving. And I got to get Legacies of Canaan, which I arranged for a new player because Tiv can't join us anymore. And they botched a whole lot of times, and it was really comical because it was all the same area. Because they've come up with an insane plan to steal this a staff from a Tremere that is a not a magic staff, but like a symbol. And they're stealing it for someone. So they came up with a heist. And their heist is to hire a infiltrator to the place, to set a firebomb, start a fire, get firefighting outfits, go in as firefighters to steal the staff, and kidnap someone, which someone else that helped them out here asked them if they could kidnap someone, which they'll take the person out in a ambulance that they're also going to steal. But then they're also going to have a fire hose where they can put the staff into it. So it looks like they're actually doing something with the fire hose.
Okay.
And so far, they went in to steal firefighting equipment. And that's what went wrong.
Hugh Benny Hill music?
It really was. But it ended up being okay because the cops botched too. So they didn't get away. So they got away from them. But they assaulted a firefighter. They like broke his nose and stuff, and they have managed to steal like 4 outfits, and they need 6. Yep, they're very bad thieves, and their plan is awful too because they're vampires and going into a building they're planning on setting on fire. This seems like a bad idea. Their plan, as I told them, your plan could work, and that's what I left it off at.
It could backfire.
Which it most likely will, horribly.
Yes.
We'll find out, though. That should be next week. I will be having both my role-playing games next week. Madness should be back, which will just help me to be extra tired on PAX Unplugged Friday. But it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And then I will have Legacy. And Sundays at the Tabletop should be on this week, though we'll see if we get everybody for it. Enough people. We'll see. I think that's all the major things for now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will say one thing is, remember it is Small Business Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So go support your local game store. A lot of them, I know, are going to have really great deals.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. All right. Cool. So, yeah, check out your local game stores for Small Business Saturday. I will be back tomorrow for streaming in the morning and for Sundays at Tabletop with hopefully Joe and some others. normal streaming schedule, relatively speaking, this week, except for Friday, Saturday, Sunday for PAX Unplugged. If you have anything you think you want us particularly to check out, any questions about things that are going to be at PAX Unplugged, anything like that, you can tweet either of us. You could put it on my Discord. Any of those kind of things, we'll answer it for you. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you here, well...
in 2 weeks.
Probably in 2 weeks. Our chances of doing some kind of special post-PAX thing at some point in time, slim. So probably 2 weeks. But, all right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you here next time. Goodbye!
Bye.